Hi, my name is Kurt Walling. I'm the Loss Prevention Director for Shasta-Trinity Schools Insurance Group. I'm your safety guide.
Hi, my name is Kurt Walling. I'm the Loss Prevention Director for Shasta-Trinity Schools Insurance Group, and I'd like to talk to you today about your school district safety climate. Some of the topics we'll cover today are questions like why your safety climate is important, what your safety climate is at your district, and then we're going to ask a few questions such as where's the next accident going to happen, and what can we do to prevent that accident? Why do we care about a safety climate at a school district? Well, the bottom line is every single day in the United States of America, 13 workers wake up, they get dressed, have breakfast with your families, and they go to work and never come home. They die at work. Another 150 succumb to diseases they got through the normal course of work, which result in cancer or being exposed to toxic or other hazardous substances, causing long-term damage to their bodies. The Department of Justice is redoubling efforts to hold employers accountable for unlawfully jeopardizing workers' health and safety. This is important to everyone who's an employee in the United States. OSHA typically gets a bad rap, but OSHA is responsible for preventing injuries and illnesses to employees. If you look at this slide, back in 2015, 4,836 workers were killed on the job, which is 93 a week, more than 13 per day. Well, since OSHA came on the scene in the 1970s, the number of injuries and illnesses has dropped drastically. In 1970, 38 workers died daily. That's a huge reduction. So OSHA is not a dirty word. It's not something bad. What OSHA is there for is to keep you safe so you can go back to your family at the end of the day. There's 18,000 people injured or made ill on the job every single day because of preventable hazards. Now, any normal person looking at this picture would ask, why in the world was that bus driver driving down this muddy, wet road? We can ask ourselves the question, but many of us already know the answer. The driver was in a hurry. The driver was being asked to do something that was unsafe, or the driver wasn't paying attention. This is a common occurrence. We typically are given too much to do. We don't have enough time to do it. And we feel pressured to do these unsafe acts, and it results in accidents and injuries. Again, entirely preventable. Here in the Shasta-Trinity Schools Insurance Group, we've had several accidents. If you look at this slide, this is a safety alert message that I made after an amputation at one of our school districts. We had an individual who was slicing lettuce. He was in a hurry and he sliced his thumb off. Ironically enough, this individual was also a bus driver. He also did maintenance, and he was overworked and undertrained, and he didn't have simple safety equipment. He didn't have a cutting glove, and he just didn't practice safe cutting skills. So what resulted from that is air transportation to San Francisco and then microsurgery to have the thumb attached. This kind of accident causes hundreds of thousands of dollars a year in not unnecessary expenses to the JPA. We also had another person walking in the wrong place, walking along the sidewalk outside of classrooms where there was yellow caution warning painted on the ground. This elderly lady was a volunteer and was hit by a door. She fell, breaking her hip, and then had a cardiac event while she was undergoing surgery, and she died. She died because she wasn't paying attention, but also because she wasn't told and trained to stay out of the area where those yellow warning stripes were painted, showing the opening diameter of the door. When we look at pictures like this, which you can find all over the internet, at first they seem kind of amusing until you realize that what we have here is someone who thinks that it's okay to show a baby in diapers how to weld, a gentleman who thinks it's okay to work underneath a pickup truck being supported by no more than 2 4x4s precariously placed on the concrete, And then a person working on a ship in a shipyard who's not been afforded the proper PPE, personal protective equipment, and has wrapped plastic around his face. The real problem here is no one is stopping these people from doing this. They're just being they're just being allowed to continue doing what they're doing, and someone's taking pictures of them. Obviously not a good scenario. I encourage you, if you see someone at your school district doing something that you know they shouldn't be doing, stop them. Hazards exist all over school districts, but usually they're not as hazardous as welding in diapers, for instance, or having to prop a truck up with 4x4s. If you look at these three pictures, they look pretty benign. But 60% of all claims for workers' comp come from something simple like slips, trips, and falls. If you look at the sidewalk where these students are walking, you can see there's cracks in the sidewalk. The accidents that cause injuries are typically single level falls, which means they're not falling off of a building or off a scaffolding or a ladder. They're tripping over something simple like a carpet, loose carpet, crack in the sidewalk, or even a branch that's in the way. If you look at the trash can full of books, this is common every year, usually at the beginning of the year, at the end of the year, when there's a whole bunch of old stuff that needs to be taken out. The teachers will fill these trash cans up, students will fill these trash cans up, and then the custodians and maintenance personnel that are required to take these out experience back pain, back injuries, and back injuries are extremely expensive. This can be prevented by simple means, filling trash can half full, placing an empty box in the bottom of the trash can, and then putting the bag in so you can only fill it halfway full, or emptying the trash cans more often. The bottom right picture is an old metal slide. Many of us remember the old metal slides and how hot they got in the summertime. A lot of playground equipment and other equipment used by the students is actually unsafe for use now. So it's great to take a look around, see what you have. And if you don't know, ask an expert to come and take a look at it. I'm a certified playground safety inspector, and there's several other in the area that can help you figure out whether or not the equipment you're using is dangerous. So slips, trips, and falls, 60% of all accidents. Back injuries are the most expensive injuries, along with shoulder injuries. And then, of course, you have burns, entanglement, and entrapment on old equipment that needs to go. So how much do common injuries cost? If we could prevent one injury, like a carpal tunnel, repetitive motion injury from typing and not stretching often enough, that's a $40,000 injury in general. The average back injury, $50,000. Slip and fall injuries are $62,000 because 5% of those actually end up with a broken bone. Broken bones are extremely painful and take a long time to heal. So the work comp costs for wages and repairs to that injury, and then also things like medication and physical therapy all adds up. So how do we get a strong culture of safety? Where does it come from? The bottom line is it comes from the top. A leader provides purpose, motivation, and dedication to their employees. They do this by showing a positive attitude, controlling their mood, and motivating their subordinates. The bottom line therein is that they are modeling behavior of safety. If the top doesn't care, then the bottom doesn't care. Safety culture starts at the top. And what you also have to understand is everyone in the organization has responsibility to promote that strong safety culture, which means leading up. If you have a leader who is unaware of the safety situation in your school district, leading up means you go to that person, you tell them what's going on, and give them an opportunity to fix it. You lead down when you talk to new employees or subordinates, and you show them yourself what it's like to have a strong safety climate by modeling appropriate behavior. And then across, you have to make sure that your peers are doing the right thing and not taking unnecessary risks. A leader provides purpose, motivation, and direction, which instills belonging, dedication, trust, and respect. Without those, you're never going to establish a strong safety culture. It's all about attitude. Take a look at this picture. Again, it looks a little humorous because no one in their right mind nowadays would think that this is okay. But back in the old days, this was perfectly okay. I could spend 5 minutes looking at this picture because it seems like there's 1,000 things going wrong here. And you just have to ask the question, where were the adults and why in the world would they let this go on? How do you describe your district to a concerned parent? Would you tell them that you're a safe school district? Would you tell them that you take care of the students and the staff takes care of each other? How about a student? If you had a new student who came to school, how would you tell them your safety culture is? This is another interesting picture off the internet, and we can pick out a lot of things wrong with this picture. Yes, that is an aluminum ladder, which, by the way, conducts electricity in a pool of water. He is utilizing an electric drill, which is plugged in. You can see the wire hanging. And he walked out to that ladder in the water. You can see he's wet to the waist and he has no shoes on. He is, however, wearing his eye protection. So at least there was some thought for safety, but it stopped a little prematurely. But the real problem here isn't the individual who's drilling into the ceiling. The real problem is his friend or coworker in the background who isn't stopping him. That individual is just as guilty as the gentleman on the ladder. So don't be either one of these. If you see one of your coworkers doing something unsafe, remember that when they are at home recovering from an injury, you and everyone else are going to cover down on them and do their job. So in your own best interest, don't let them violate safety rules. The next few minutes, what I'd like you to do is take out a piece of paper. You can pause this. Presentation and write down precisely where the next accident is going to be. Where on campus? Who is the most likely to get injured? What's the nature of the injury? And at the bottom, write a few things down about how you can prevent that from happening. Then share this with your staff and try and prevent that next accident. What are some things you can do? Communication is number one. I always like to say, stay alert, stay alive. The reason that we have safety rules and standards is because someone has violated that safety standard or reason in the past and was injured or killed. Therefore, never walk past a safety hazard. Never walk past a problem. Fix what you can on the spot. But if you can't fix it, then mark it. Make sure it's safe so no one else is accidentally going to get hurt. And then report to whoever is responsible for fixing those items and check back and make sure that it's done later. Everyone is responsible for safety. There's some other tools out there that can help you. There's a loss prevention incentive, which we give each school district in our JPA money for doing a few safe activities. They had to establish an illness and injury prevention plan, conduct safety trainings. We have a return to work program. And then school districts are also rewarded for having safety meetings, and making sure that everyone knows what the standards are. There's also apps that you can download for reporting safety issues. There's outreach programs provided by the state. SASH is the School Action for Safety and Health. IPM is the Integrated Pest Management Program. They have workshops. And then you can always request courtesy inspections and use our online toolbox if you have questions or need for additional safety information. Plans that you should have in place include the illness and injury prevention plan that's required by Title VIII, California Code of Regulations. You should have a school safety plan, an integrated pest management plan, which really concerns utilizing pesticides, a hazardous communication plan for any chemicals you have on your school district area that are dangerous, an ADA transition plan if you have any structural modifications that are necessary. ADA is the Americans with Disability Act. And then, of course, an asbestos management plan. And if you've had more than 2 ergonomic claims, work comp claims in the past year, you need to have an ergonomics control plan as well. Remember, safety is contagious. Everybody is responsible for safety. Most accidents are preventable, and there's plenty of resources out there to help you, and I'm here as well. Thank you, and have a safe day.